Coming up on this Rediscover Arizona Special, we are taking you inside Cosanti. It's an architecturally amazing and ecologically friendly destination operating right here in the valley.
If you've ever been in Papago Park and looked up to see this, a white pyramid, and thought, what is that? Today I'm taking you to Hunt's Tomb and we're learning the history behind it. Coming up on 12 News.
The Hayden Flour Mill you know? But born again, I'm taking you behind the scenes.
Plus, the world's largest Navajo rug is back on display here in Arizona, why it took 5 years to make and where you can check it out.
Well, thank you for joining us on this special edition of 12 News. And right now, we are rediscovering some of the amazing gems sprinkled across our state.
And we're starting with a very special Arizona restaurant. It's one of just 25 businesses across the country being recognized for its history.
It's all about preserving the past, and few do it better than one family in the small town of Seligman, Arizona, located right along Route 66.
And the story you're about to hear, well, it might sound familiar if you've ever seen the Disney movie Cars. In fact, the movie's fictional town, Radiator Springs, was based on Seligman.
12 News journalist Bianca Bono took a trip to the historic town to learn more about the special family story and how they helped save the famous American road.
Driving down I-40 between Flagstaff and the California state line, all it takes is one exit to transport you back in time. Welcome to Seligman, Arizona, the birthplace of historic Route 66 and home of the longest surviving section of America's iconic road. And synonymous with Seligman is the snowcap.
Hey, you should work for 12 News.
Meet the Delgadillo family, the owners of the Kitschy restaurant, where they're serving up burgers, shakes, and most importantly, smiles.
Would you like straw? My dad always told us, put a smile on somebody's face.
$75, Robert. Did you read that? Okay, I'll give you a local discount.
Much like the snowcap, these jokes are 70 years old, all thanks to Juan Delgadillo.
We're trying to keep up his legacy.
After getting out of the Army, Juan worked for the railroad, ultimately opening the snowcap in 1953. At the time, Route 66 and Seligman were booming.
There were 12 gas stations just in Seligman.
That changed in 1978. Interstate 40 opened just 2 miles from town, which effectively meant Route 66 was closed.
A lot of the businesses around town could not stay alive.
But for Juan and his brother, Angel Delgadillo, giving up wasn't in their DNA.
This was Juan Delgadillo's 1936 Chevrolet. His family tells us when the interstate opened, he would drive along the interstate and have people follow him off back onto Route 66, just one of many ways he thought outside the box to keep this town in business.
Well, this is a beautiful town of Seligman.
With Route 66 barely kicking, Angel and Juan also created the historic Route 66 Association of Arizona, an effort to preserve it.
I remember Dad saying, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep going. This is not going to stop us.
By 1987, the state of Arizona designated the road as historic, securing Seligman's future.
If it weren't for him.
No, we wouldn't be here.
So the snowcap lived on, and Juan and his wife Mary lived right next door.
My dad would ring the house phone twice, and that was her sign that there was a hamburger to be made.
Juan and Mary have since passed away, but the next generations have taken over.
Nothing changes.
The girl's the same. That girl's 70 years old. We don't like change. Here you go, my friend.
The family's hard work goes beyond this kitchen, and this year it was rewarded, becoming one of just 25 restaurants across the country carefully chosen by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, earning a $40,000 grant.
We are the only one in Arizona. We're just so grateful for that.
Their first order of business, creating a permanent place for Juan and Mary.
They're the backbone of this place.
More updates are in the works.
It's going to look pretty. Our dad would be proud of it.
But the foundation of this Seligman staple will stay the same.
There aren't enough mom and pop shops left in the United States.
So the next time you're driving down the highway, try taking the long way.
They treat you like family.
You might like what you find.
We got to keep it going. We are keeping it going.
In Seligman, Bianca Bono, 12 News.
Thanks so much, Bianca, and I want to ride in that Chevy. But now we turn to a favorite here in the Valley. You're looking at the new Dreamy Draw recreation area. The area was closed for 3 years for a water pipeline project and some renovations, but now it is back in business and better than ever before. Right now, you have to take a look. It's been more than 3 years since you could pull into this parking lot at the newly revamped Dreamy Draw recreation area and set out from here to explore the amazing trails of the Phoenix Mountains Preserve. But now the area just east of the 51 off of Northern Avenue is reopening. I mean, this is a huge project you guys undertook, and a lot of days and months and years that this went under.
Well, this actually, the whole process started probably 6-7 years ago.
I'm talking with Josh Parnell with the City of Phoenix Parks Department. He shares the Dreamy Draw area, which sits between Piestewa Peak and North Mountain, now has $6.4 million worth of improvements in conjunction with some of the drought pipeline project going on in the area. Now, when you visit, they've more than doubled the parking spaces. One of the new additions here to Dreamy Draw is this new ADA path. It is making all the trails in this whole area more accessible.
Our trails should be open for everybody, and so the more opportunities we can give to any individual, regardless of their abilities or what other challenges they may face, these outdoor spaces are beautiful and should be cherished, and everyone should have that ability.
Dreamy Draw Rec Area now offers improved horse trailer parking with troughs you can refill, 4 new ramadas, and new restrooms with quite a view to wash your hands at. And cyclists can rejoice. The bike path has been replaced after a 68-inch water line was laid under where it originally sat. And the popularity of taking in Phoenix's sights and trails is not slowing down.
So last year we had 6.5 million people on our trails, and those are only on the trails where we have counters. And so we know that it is passionate, that people love these spaces.
The term Dreamy Draw dates back to the Mercury miners in the area who were in a dreamy state after being in contact with the element. But now you're in for some dreamy scenery, and the City Parks Department is getting ready for feedback on their next big dream project.
Our next phase is to do something very similar in North Mountain Park.
And if you would like to visit Dreamy Draw, the gates to this area open every day from 5 in the morning until 7 at night.
You know, to be in Mesa and have something so wonderful, so iconic. It's like you never think of Mesa having wonderful things like that. People just kind of dismiss us. People say we're from Arizona, they just think Phoenix. Well, you know, we've got great stuff too here.
A Mesa landmark is officially designated as historic. The Nile Theater first opened its doors 99 years ago, if you can believe that. And at the time, it was known as the Movie Palace.
Yeah, that's why 12 News journalist Jade Cunningham spoke with the building's owner and has more on why this new title is an important one.
If these walls could talk,
The Nile Theater has quite a history.
the stories would be endless.
It is a treasure.
Built in 1924, the Nile was the first in Mesa to show silent films.
And when it opened originally, it was opened as an all-whites theater.
Local documentary filmmaker Bruce Nelson says it segregated 14 years later. Known as the Movie Palace, it was the largest venue in the valley.
It was opulent. The seats were magnificent for the time. They didn't have anything like that.
It also was the coolest because it was the only building in Arizona that had a cooling system in place. People loved it.
And even now, it's still a place for young people to come. I mean, the concerts, some of the bands. Jimmy Eats World played here first before they kind of blew up.
It closed in 1951.
I heard it was a dress factory at one point. It was a church a couple of times.
But opened as a music venue in the 90s, welcoming newcomers like Korn, Snoop Dogg, and New Found Glory.
There's a lot of bands that started in this basement.
Michelle Donovan has helped operate the Nile for the past 15 years.
I saw some of my favorite bands and discovered, new friends here.
She works hard to keep this gem shining and is thankful it's now officially historic.
We just kind of want to preserve what we can and then incrementally get it back to more of its glory days, if you will. And that starts with making sure that there's a layer of protection around the building.
And as they look to its future, they are constantly reminded of its past.
We understand the importance of having something like this in a downtown area.
Hopeful others will see its beauty too and come to enjoy it.
It's a 100-year-old brick building and it has its quirks, but I think if you can appreciate that like we do, there's a lot of beauty in this building.
Now, where can you find handcrafted, one-of-a-kind bronze and ceramic products? At Cosanti, of course, located right here in the Valley. I was able to check it out as part of our Rediscover Arizona adventure. Welcome to Earth House, where Cosanti first began in the 1950s right here in Paradise Valley, before it was even Paradise Valley. Now you can tour this and so much more on this 5-acre property. Come on, let's go check it out. Cosanti is the original home and studio of artist Paolo Soleri. Cosanti means against things. The inspiration for this city, built on using only what you need. The architecture and art here will amaze you, and you can even watch the artists at work.
There we go.
Here they're creating Cosanti's signature bronze bells.
We're pouring liquid metal into our forms. It's 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit as a reference point. That is about as hot as lava. Each mold itself is a one-time shot. Something uniquely not only handmade, but handmade in Arizona. We exist as kind of, a throwback to an early age of Arizona. And we have people from all over that come, they watch the pours, we get to do Q&A every day. We even have photos of the same equipment standing in the same place. This place is pretty much like a timestamp.
This is the bell tree, made up of 50 models of bells, each with a different design and sound.
This is the ceramics app, and we're just gonna take our wooden tools and impress the designs. And you can add more designs, add more lines. You can just go crazy with it, honestly.
I think I'm getting the hang of it, a little bit.
After this process, we'll let it dry for a few days. We'll fire it to bisque, and then we'll glaze it over here, what CJ is doing. We sell all of our tiles in the gallery. We have coaster sets and one-off individual tiles, and we're starting to sell tiles online at the moment.
As an artist, what is it like to create here at Cosanti?
Oh, there's so much inspiration, everything around me. It's honestly amazing.
Ta-da! 12 News. And for those who like to wear their art,
I'll take these pieces and with 3D scanning and 3D modeling, scale them down digitally and then have them printed on a 3D printer. That way you can take the piece home with you.
just another way Cosanti has been dazzling visitors for decades.
Coming up, did you know the largest and most diverse date palm grove in the Western Hemisphere is right here in the Valley? But what makes Arizona so perfect for dates? We are finding out.
Plus, it's a special place locally and nationally. Coming up, I'm taking you inside the Wrigley Mansion for a private tour.
And we are taking a step back in time with a look at Cave Creek's rich mining history. Welcome back to our 12 News Rediscover Arizona Special. And right now, we are taking you to a scenic spot in Phoenix that dates all the way back to the 1930s.
This towering pyramid in the desert will definitely catch your eye, and it has quite a story. Take a look. Papago Park views are hard to beat.
It's a lot of free amusement.
Steve Schumacher knows a thing or two about Arizona amusement as Phoenix Mayor's office first ever official historian.
Even in death, he wanted to include all of the population of Phoenix in being able to see his pyramid.
Pyramid? Yes, you heard that right. And this 20-foot tall structure, which serves as a mausoleum, is hard to miss.
For somebody to decide they were going to entomb themselves and their family in a pyramid in Papago Park, you've got some influence.
The man with that influence was Governor George W.P. Hunt.
He was always interested in politics, so he came to Phoenix, became a part of the early 1900 legislature at that time. He ran for governor and won in the latter part of 1911. And he was also the governor of the territory who became the governor of the state of Arizona when it became a state in 1912.
But why
build this.
It's not real clear exactly what motivated him, but there could have been three different things. He had been the ambassador to Siam, and he traveled to Egypt at that time. He was also a Mason, which pyramids are a part of the Masonic order. And the other thing that I think really motivated him the most was in 1922, King Tut's tomb was found in Egypt. And so it created what was called a pyramid mania.
You may feel the mania as you take in the view. Governor Hunt called himself Old Walrus, which is fitting since his final resting place now overlooks the zoo.
From this breathtaking vantage point, you can pick out the giraffes at the Phoenix Zoo. You can also look over and watch planes take off and land from Sky Harbor and get a breathtaking view of downtown Phoenix. But right here at this spot, you'll also learn the history of who else is memorialized inside of this white pyramid.
There's 5 people in there, Governor Hunt, his wife, her sister, and her parents, that are in caskets, and then the Hunt's daughter and her husband are in urns.
The governor's wife, Helen, died first, and Hunt reached out to Del Webb to build the pyramid to honor her.
It's a fun thing to envision the thought of Governor Hunt and Del Webb standing here figuring out how it was all going to be laid out.
Webb is known for developing the Sun City retirement community and was co-owner of the New York Yankees and founder of his construction company. This creation of his has been making a statement in the valley for nearly 100 years.
To visit is simple. Head to Papago Park, go past Hole in the Rock, and go to the top of the hill, where you will find this parking lot. Once you get out, you take a few steps up this little trail, and at the very top, you'll find Hunt's tomb.
So when you look back at the collective story, you feel it really was the wife's influence, less of maybe influence on himself, more influence on honoring his wife when she passed.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And again,
maybe a love story, a pyramid love story.
It could very well be, yeah. Well, they were married a long, long time, and of course when you lose a spouse after a bunch of years, you want to do whatever you can to honor them.
So maybe in the end, the foundation of this uniquely Arizona amusement and memorial is admiration.
Whether you're an Arizona native like Crystal or you're a new transplant like me, there are so many hidden gems to check out.
That's right. And right now we're going inside a special place that's both a Phoenix point of pride and on the National Register of Historic Places. Here's a tour of the Wrigley Mansion. The man behind this bubblegum is also the mastermind behind this magnificent mansion in Phoenix. William Wrigley Jr. built this for his wife nearly a century ago as a 50th wedding anniversary. Now you can dine and take a tour. Come on.
Welcome to the Wrigley Mansion. So we're in the rotunda here. We try to keep a lot of it original. It was one of the first houses to actually have a phone in the house. If you look on the walls, that's actually Wrigley's gum wrappers that they use to kind of line everything else. This is one of my favorite rooms in here. This is Jamie's wine bar now, but this used to be kind of the study. So we have Jordy's bar. And then we have Jordy's restaurant. So if you're dining, you get a good look at the views. We're gonna go check out the kitchen now. This awesome piece of equipment here, this is called a Heston, custom made, that we had made for the mansion itself.
Yeah, this is like the Rolls Royce of cooking suites, so it's definitely a dream come true to finally cook on something like this.
This is the chef's table, part of the experience you have here at the Wrigley Mansion. So when Chef David Brito's, kind of feeling something experimental, something fun that he wants to do, you can reserve this as a dining space. Up to 12 people we can do.
And we're not done dining yet.
And welcome to Christopher's. I'm Christopher, and welcome to our beautiful restaurant at the Wrigley Mansion. We incorporated art, we incorporated everything that makes and shows off Arizona.
Beautiful.
I know, right? A very special piano, obviously. It's one of 2 in the world. Second one's in the Smithsonian. It doesn't actually play.
I'm gonna pretend like I know.
You're very good at this, by the way. Very good. Down here we have the cellar. There's 1.6 million in wine that we have in here, about 2,300 labels and about 15,000 bottles.
Oh, I have a feeling this is gonna be my favorite room.
So everything's set up. It's kind of a very cerebral, kind of sexy wine library, if you will, the way we have everything kind of set up between everything kind of shelved off and cordoned and everything else. The table where we can start people here. We want to share the cellar. We want to share wine. We want to share stories, experiences, the whole nine. So
cheers to Wrigley Mansion.
To the Wrigley Mansion.
All right, from a cheers to a fun fact that you may not know. ASU has the largest and most diverse date palm grove in the entire Western Hemisphere.
That's right, 12 News journalist Jade Cunningham. She shows us how the tasty dates are grown and collected over at ASU's Polytechnic campus.
There are about 140 or so date palm trees here with this grove. It's one of 4 collections found in the United States, which is very impressive. We did find a tree, though, that has yet to be harvested. Take a look. Look at those bags filled with dates. There's about a dozen or so on there, and it probably will be harvested pretty soon. You know, there are a wide variety of dates grown here. There are about 40 different types here at this grove farm. Some are very rare. Date trees love the sun and the heat, and they can thrive here. But in order for these trees to produce, they must be pollinated by hand, which means if the pollen or one date palm pollinates a different one, it can create a completely new variety of date. It's pretty interesting. When dates first came to Arizona, they were brought from the Middle East to start a commercial date palm industry. There were about 300 varieties of dates or so at that time, but they soon dwindled away. ASU, though, keeping about 40 or so varieties again alive because of this farm, so this place really is a treasure. Harvesting season is happening now, where volunteers from ASU, as well as the Sphinx Date Company in Scottsdale, they come here, they pick the ones, and they get ready to sell them.
So dates only grow Southern California and Arizona. It is something that's unique to our region. So in this area in Phoenix, from about 1900 to 1950s, there was a lot of date groves. Of course, as property values and as housing moved in, the date trees moved out, but many of the dates that grew in the Phoenix area were these special varieties that are not commonly grown anymore. So ASU has collected all these different varieties here at the germplasm collection and is keeping the genetics going like a seed bank, so to say, but you have to keep a live tree growing in order to collect the genetic material.
Well, if you want to try some of these dates, there are a couple of options. You can go to the Sphinx Date Company in Scottsdale. They also sell some of these dates on campus. They have vending machines located at the Student Union, among other places. Definitely worth a try. They're supposed to be very sugary, very sweet, and also full of nutrients. In Mesa, Jade Cunningham, 12 News.
Coming up, are you looking for a luxurious getaway? I'm taking you inside the resort that was named the best in Arizona.
Plus, we are turning back the clock and taking you down south of Tucson to rediscover an Arizona site that used to be top secret.
And you don't want to miss this. There's a bus stop hidden underground. And it's in a spot many of us drive past all of the time without even knowing it exists.
Welcome back. We know Arizona is a wonderful place for staycations. And if you're looking for a luxurious stay, we found the place for you. Come along and check out Castle Hot Springs, a resort that Travel and Leisure says is in the top 500 in the world. And lucky us, it's just north of the valley.
Welcome to Castle Hot Springs.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This place is so magical. I was mystified coming here. I saw burros. I'm in the middle of nowhere in the desert, and all of a sudden it's like this hidden gem oasis, and then I feel like I stepped back in time.
You have. You're right now in bar 1896, and you're drinking right now our hibiscus welcome tea. So the resort was founded in 1896, which makes it the oldest resort in Arizona. And there you have people relaxing before they hit the hot springs. During World War II, Castle Hot Springs was actually a rehabilitation center for the U.S. Army. And JFK actually was here for 3 months rehabilitating from his accident in the PT boat. We have our tennis back at the turn of the century. And then on the right side, that was hiking attire back in 1905.
A bow tie and a suit.
That was hiking attire.
What?
First golf course in Arizona. They didn't have much grass back then. It was all rock. The Palm House was the main building where people would stay, where the rooms were.
That was before it burned down?
Yes. And then in 2014, Mr. Watts started the renovation to the project and opened in 2019. Castle Hot Springs, for the second year in a row, we've been voted the #1 resort in Arizona by Travel and Leisure magazine. People come to relax and enjoy the hot springs and any of our wellness offerings, plus our culinary and our farm experience is second to none. And then, of course, we have our adventure experience as well. We have guided e-bike rides. We have a aerial walkway. You're able to walk over the suspension bridge over the canyon floor. We have a number of via ferrata courses, basically mountain climbing, but you're climbing rocks up rungs and you're cabled in. And it's invigorating. And just the ability to reconnect and be with nature and be a part of this whole canyon is something that we want people to take away.
Cheers to reconnecting.
Cheers.
Coming up, it's a place for people to discover history, drama, and even ditch the heat. And it's right here in Phoenix.
Plus, we're taking you to a hidden gem nestled in the Superstition Mountains. It's a place that has special ties to the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley.
And get ready for conspiracy theories, aliens, dinosaurs, strange unexplained objects, and Arizona history. Yeah, we piqued your interest. Coming up, we are checking out The Thing.
Welcome back to our Rediscover Arizona Special.
You know, there are so many hidden treasures to check out.
And we have a place in mind where you can discover history, drama, and even escape the heat.
And maybe the best part? You don't even have to leave Phoenix. Check out the Phoenix Theater Company. For almost as long as Arizona has been a state, the Phoenix Theater Company has been lighting up the stage in the valley. Lights up!
Hi, I'm Michael Barnard, and I'm the producing artistic director for the Phoenix Theater Company. The Phoenix Theater Company started about 104 years ago. We are the oldest continuously operated theater west of the Mississippi. This building has been renovated on a number of occasions, and so you'll find staircases that kind of go here, there, and everywhere, and you go, well, why on earth did they do it that way? Well, it's because at one time it was this. You're in part of the old part of the building that was the stage house. We have a scenic shop, costume shop, properties shop right behind the stage. We build everything. So we rehearse everything here, we cast everything here, and we produce everything here. The other thing that we're very proud of is all our musicals have live orchestras.
Let's head backstage now. Did you know that the Phoenix Theater Company launched Steven Spielberg's career? He worked in the props department first. Martini, anyone? And then he premiered his very first full-length film, Firelight, right here in this theater. So many other artists got their start here too.
Hi, my name is Michelle Chin and I am the director of New Works, the director of summer camp, as well as an actor, musician, director. It's very inspiring to know that someone who is so recognized in the entertainment industry was here and that we are still creating in this space. And we want to continue to uplift new voices. Part of that is through our Festival of New American Theater. We just had our 25th anniversary festival this year, and we also look to try to have like a pipeline so that way pieces like Americano can start in our festival and continue to develop, and then we can have world premieres like Tiananmen, which is coming up in a couple months.
This fall, the theater will break ground right here on its first major renovation in 20 years.
Hi, I'm Vincent Van Vliet. I'm the executive director of the Phoenix Theater Company. So we're super excited. We're going to convert the 250-seat Hormel Theater into a 500-seat state-of-the-art theater where we can do pre-Broadway work. It's going to have all the bells and whistles that you would see in a Broadway theater. We are also teed up for a secondary project, which will create a new ADA-compliant rehearsal center. We have one of the most inclusive summer camps in the city and across the state. And so the ability to accommodate children with mobility issues is a big thing for us. So we're hoping to get that facility underway as well.
We are having a blast rediscovering iconic places and landmarks all across the state. Now let's really blast off to the Titan Missile Museum just south of Tucson.
It's the last one. It's a relic of the Cold War. It's what America thought we needed to keep the Soviet Union at bay, to keep the peace. Peace through deterrence. Hi, my name's Dave Haratunian. I'm a tour guide here at the Titan Missile Museum down here in Sahuarita, Arizona. We're in the control center of the Titan II Missile Museum. That's an emergency action message. Well, unfortunately today for us, this is the real deal. We've been ordered to launch this missile. Everybody thinks we use big red buttons to launch missiles in America. We don't know where that came from. Came from Hollywood. In the real world, we use keys. They give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, launch, turn the keys. That's it. That's all it takes. We just joined World War III. If the president calls and tells us we made a mistake, there's no stopping this now. These are all shock absorbers. It's all meant to keep all the cableways, all the cables coming from the control center out to the missile stable. This is where the missile sits. 9 floors of this launch duct had to be kept at 60 degrees at all time, and that would keep the fuel on this missile from boiling. It's important to let people know what happened, what went on. Try not to make the same mistakes. This is not a memorial or monument to war. This was peace. Our mission and goal down here was peace, peace through deterrence. Now, it's not just about a big bomb. It's about the people that work down here, keeping America safe.
Well, Benson, Arizona, that's about 175 miles from Phoenix, and it is home to The Thing. The Thing, it's located off of the I-10 at exit 322. But you may be wondering, okay, what is The Thing? All right, it is a museum that is based on a conspiracy theory that includes aliens and dinosaurs. Yep, The Thing is a special exhibit at the end, which is said to be a mummified remain found in an Arizona copper mine. The once small roadside attraction has grown into a 13,000 square foot museum.
Come into here, you open your mind, what if? What if aliens got involved with the dinosaurs and actually harnessed their power, and we're actually battling against each other? So you're going to see the beginning of time, basically, and move your way all the way through the Old West, into the wars, into later on, and you might even see Elvis.
All right, the museum sees about 1,200 visitors a day, all lured in by the mystery of it all. Maybe just a hint of imagination too, Emily.
We can't wait to check that out. And there's an underground space that a lot of us drive past all of the time, and we don't even know it exists. 12 News journalist William Pitts is taking us beneath the surface and behind closed doors. He's giving us a behind-the-scenes look at a secret spot that was supposed to be a bus terminal right in the middle of the freeway.
The Deck Park Tunnel. You've driven through it, you probably think you know all about it. But wait, what's that thing? In between the lanes, is that another tunnel? Hiding in plain sight this whole time. And we're going inside it.
Not a lot of people get to see this area, and when they do come down into here, they are sort of blown away by the size.
It's about 4 lanes wide. It's as tall as the freeway side.
We've got some curbs in here. You can sort of see what it potentially could have been.
Curbs because it was supposed to be a bus station. When the tunnel was built, the plan was to have buses pull in and unload passengers here.
The plans that I've seen indicated that there would be escalators that could take the bus riders, I guess, up to the Central Avenue area.
Those escalators were never built. The buses never stopped, for a bunch of reasons. But the tunnel is still there, now used only for storage and repairs, and in a pinch, emergency access. But the bus station isn't the only hidden tunnel.
Well, welcome to the underworld.
There's another secret tunnel where people actually work.
This is actually where you get to see the giant fan.
These tunnels bring in air from the outside into the freeway tunnel. And if there was ever a fire or hazmat situation in there, the fans are critical.
These fans would kick in and start to remove the bad air.
And every so often there are stairways like this, just in case.
If you ever wanted to be up close and personal with a freeway like I-10, here's your chance.
Opening directly onto the freeway for repairs, evacuations, whatever ADOT might need. It takes all of this to make the Deck Park Tunnel work, and no one ever sees it.
They don't know the history of building the Deck Park Tunnel and operating the Deck Park Tunnel.
While people come down to the fan room all the time, the bus station stays empty and probably will.
It's interesting to think about, potential things, but there really aren't any plans for it.
Instead, it's an underground oddity hiding in your daily drive. Under Margaret Hance Park, William Pitts, 12 News.
No matter how long you've called the Valley home, it's still fun to rediscover spots around the state. I recently checked out the Cave Creek Museum for a look at the hidden treasures there. Did you know Cave Creek is quite literally rich in history? Gold that was locked in quartz on Continental Mountain, about 5 miles north, was brought right here to be milled. You could even say it's mind-blowing. Fire in the hole! You can discover the history with the Arizona gold mining experience at the Cave Creek Museum.
So this is an old Rumley. It's a gasoline engine, and it would run the stamp mill and all the equipment in the mine. The mines out here were very early adopters of early gasoline engines. This is our 10 stamp mill. It's the only working stamp mill in the original Cave Creek mining district. The mine was at the top of the mountain, and the stamp mill, where the water is at the bottom of the mountain. So early on, they had to use mules to carry their ore. Well, that was not very efficient. So around 1910, they bought a tram. It was then dumped in the crusher. Then we put it in the stamp mill, and out of there comes sand. And the sand would run over plates coated with mercury, and the mercury would dissolve the gold.
Okay, Greg, where are we in the gold mining process now?
Every nail, every bolt, every piece of equipment was manufactured in the blacksmith shop, and we're gonna teach you how to be a blacksmith.
Reporting for duty.
Take this hot iron and you're gonna pound it. You have made a nail.
Meteorologist by morning, blacksmith by day.
She doesn't want it.
And coming up, we're exploring a Tempe staple that's celebrating its new life in Queen Creek.
Plus, the world's largest Navajo rug is on display right here in Arizona. Why it took 5 years to make this, and where you can see the masterpiece for yourself. Welcome back to this 12 News special. From theaters to hot springs, we are rediscovering iconic places and landmarks all across Arizona.
And many of us are familiar with the Hayden Flour Mill. The mill is one of Tempe's most oldest and storied landmarks. The mill, it might be closed, but it's far from forgotten.
I recently explored the Tempe staple that's celebrating a new life in Queen Creek. A booming business more than a century ago, now a Tempe treasure. The Hayden Flour Mill is the main reason the city exists today. The historic landmark is in the planning phase of being preserved and redeveloped. Meantime, a Tempe native and her dad have brought this beloved mill back to life, just 30 miles down the road. Come on, I'll show you. Welcome to Hayden Flour Mills, reestablished in Queen Creek. I just packaged this freshly milled all-purpose flour. And co-owners Jeff and Emma Zimmerman here. Now tell us about your daddy-daughter duo dream made reality.
We started this business to focus on heritage and ancient grains that have been forgotten. We grow them out here and then we stone mill them right here. So it's a really clean flour how it used to be and really flavorful ingredient.
Emma, what are you milling here?
So this is something that we just launched. I'm so excited to show you today. These are fresh oats. It's like there's already butter in them, honestly. Like you don't have to add anything to them. They're so rich and delicious. So this machine, we have the whole oat groats here and we're running them through and they get rolled.
Well, we better get back to rolling these oats. Emma, how important was it for you to honor the historic Hayden Flour Mill while building your company here?
Yeah, we did a ton of research on the old Hayden Flour Mills before we restarted the mill. So you'll see in our packaging something really cool is we kept the iconic Hayden Flour Mills rose, and that comes from this old flour sack, which is the Arizona rose flour, and it's fun because a lot of people in Tempe recognize this.
Growing up in Tempe, what did the Hayden Flour Mill mean to you?
Well, I went to ASU. I did my undergrad and master's there. Charles Hayden, who founded the Hayden Flour Mills Company, helped start ASU. He had a stone mill, and we have a stone mill today. So it's a really fun, like, repeat of history, kind of you know, like reinvented. So the old Hayden flour mills just did flour. We kind of put a new twist on it by making things like crackers with our heritage grains. We do pasta, we do pancake mixes.
Let's see here. New York, Texas, Minnesota. Hayden Flour Mill ships all over the United States, and local restaurants use their products too, such as Cartel Coffee and Pizzeria Bianco. In Queen Creek, Crystal Henderson, 12 News.
Now to the world's largest Navajo rug. After being lost in storage for decades, it's now back on display. The handmade masterpiece has made its home in Winslow.
You can see images of it right here behind us. And 12 News journalist William Pitts explains there's so much more to this than just a rug.
A tourist attraction that turned into a work of art. The world's largest Navajo rug, commissioned not by a Navajo, but by Trading Post owner Lorenzo Hubble.
And it was during the Great Depression, 1932, so he was having trouble getting people into his Winslow Trading Post. So it really was created as a marketing tool to create the world's largest Navajo rug.
Hubble commissioned Julia Joe and her family to weave the rug. And it wasn't easy. This is a big rug.
This is a huge piece, 21 feet by 32 feet. So they built a custom loom, and then they had to build a house to house the loom because the loom was so large.
It took 5 years, shearing sheep, dyeing wool, weaving from dawn to dusk. But they finished, and Hubble had his masterpiece for a while. Hubble went bankrupt, the Trading Post closed, and the rug went to a new owner. In the 1970s, the rug went into storage and stayed there for 40 years until it was rediscovered and donated to the Winslow Arts Trust.
It's challenging displaying a piece this large.
The museum had to build an exhibit to show it off, a tilting table that shows the pattern. The rug represents the stars, the galaxy.
There are some white kind of lines that come down. That's a representation of the Milky Way. There are representations of stars. There are protective talismans in the rug and horned toads. It really is an extraordinary pattern.
And extraordinary that Julia Joe's descendants could see it, finally displayed publicly again.
We invited the descendants of Julia Joe to have a private viewing of the rug a couple of weeks ago. And it was really emotional for the family. We allowed them to lay their hands on the rug and to really connect, to do personal blessings.
The feeling was strong. It kind of hit me right away. Oh, man, this is exactly.
It is very emotional. I am emotional today because today is finally today I felt my youngest son's rug. I felt, the touch, and I can feel her spirit. She's with us today. I felt it.
After 4 decades, Julia Joe's biggest work is back on display. William Pitts, 12 News.
Up next, we're heading to a jaw-dropping spot in Peach Springs, where you'll find the Grand Canyon Caverns.
Welcome back, everyone. We have been rediscovering Arizona.
We've been taking you to places that are maybe new to you or somewhere you just haven't been in some time.
Now let's head north out of a place near Peach Springs.
That's where you'll find the Grand Canyon Caverns. Take a look.
Crystal, welcome to the Grand Canyon Caverns first level of our cave system.
Wow.
This was the only entrance from 1927 when Walter Peck, our founder, first came into this room by rope. And then in 1936, the federal government Civilian Conservation Corps added the suspension bridge. Here you see the iron oxide that Walter Peck, our founder, thought was gold. And that's why he originally bought the caverns with his brother, because he thought he bought a gold mine. This is part of the room that Walter Peck first discovered.
Survival supplies, Office of Civil Defense, Department of Defense.
That President Kennedy ordered in here for the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they are in pristine condition.
Wait a minute, so you can actually eat that?
The crackers and candy are still perfectly good after all this time. It's still an active civil defense area because of that.
Whoa, John, what's that?
Well, this is our mystery room slide. It's deeper than you think. It's 150 feet to the bottom. We have professional cavers, and they continuously push us into new rooms and uncharted territory down below.
These seats are from the grand screening room of the American Film Institute in Beverly Hills. From 1926 onward, movie stars and directors sat in these very seats to watch their restored films. Now you can catch a concert down here. And how would you like to stay in one of the top 10 most exotic hotels in the world? Well, step right inside and get cozy in the Cavern Suite. I hope you're not afraid of the dark, because when we say lights out, we really mean it. It gets really dark down here. Not to worry, you can always turn on the nightlight. Now that the lights are out, Dino's here to take us on a ghost tour. Come on.
I'm going to take you to a hot spot where the Snowball Palace is. It's known as a freeway of ghosts.
Why do you think the spirits like to hang out down here?
Because of the selenite crystals are energy. It's a voice. Who said that? And there's another one right there. Yeah, we're being followed.
Oh, wait, don't leave me. John, thank you so much for the tour of 68 million years of history. Now, how about a tour of our taste buds? Bon appetit from the grotto in the Grand Canyon Caverns. Cheers.
Now to a hidden treasure nestled in the Superstition Mountains.
All right, so we are taking you to Apache Junction, where there are special ties to the king of rock and roll himself. You know, we're talking about Elvis Presley. So take a look at this. It is the Elvis Presley Memorial Chapel. That building was first constructed as a movie prop for the 1969 Western Charro.
And here's a fun fact. That was Presley's only film in which he did not sing on screen. In 2004, the owners of Apache Land movie set in Tucson donated the chapel to the Superstition Mountain Museum. The church was taken apart, moved to its new location, and reassembled.
And today, the Elvis Chapel is a fun tourist location and is even open for weddings. I feel like we need a few hip dance moves there, don't you think, if we're talking about Elvis?
In honor of Elvis, right? And we always say,
got it.
If you can't make it to Vegas, why not get married there with Elvis himself, where he was standing his essence, right? We love it.
Now we head to another hidden gem here in Arizona. We're rediscovering Oatman. It's a town tucked away in the northwest corner of Arizona. It's a town full of rugged character and burros.
That's right. It's nestled in Arizona's remote wilderness. And this tiny town's Wild West history does come to life with stage shootouts, how very Arizona, wooden sidewalks, and plenty of free roaming burros.
The small donkeys descended from when Oatman was a mining town, and the miners used animals to help haul materials.
It's not unusual to see dozens of donkeys in Oatman wandering the main street, nudging people for treats. The town hosts various events throughout the year. As you've just seen, there's always something to check out here in the Grand Canyon State.
From the high country to southern Arizona, our state is packed with incredible places for you to explore.
We are so lucky to live here, and we hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for joining us for this Rediscover Arizona Special.
Of course, you can check out more of our stories showcasing Arizona. We're always on at 12news.com and on the free 12 News app.